Go.
Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Loribella Redondo and Catherine Tucker. We will providing you some information and overview of our AzCHOW training program approval informational webinar. So what is a training program approval? The training program approval process has been approved by the Arizona Community Health Workers Association and the Arizona CHW Workforce Coalition. We wanted to make sure that the CHW training programs in Arizona are based in the 10 core competencies that equip CHWs with the skills and knowledge that they will need to work in variety of areas, and that they prepare a workforce to express their professional identity and their unique competencies. So why is CHW training program approval important? First of all health professionals have a set of skills and competencies that define them as a profession. And CHWs are no exception. So CHWs have a professional identity, and in order to work in their fullest potential, they also need to know their scope of practice. Also, by providing this training program approval, all the supervisors and CHW team members will understand the unique competencies that make CHW so effective when working in communities. Our training program approval signals to employers and collaborators that CHWs that are trained by the organization are prepared to work in many variety of roles, but also that they will represent professionally their organization and their program. So training program approval is based on the 10 core competencies and that will help to achieve these goals. So let's move to the next one. What are the CHW core competencies? The ones that we have adopted here in Arizona are communication, relationship building, service coordination, capacity building, advocacy, education, and facilitation, assessment, outreach, professional conduct, and knowledge base. Why am I saying that these are important? Because once a CHW is trained in all of those core competencies, they will actually be better equipped to not only provide us direct service to the clients, but also to represent their own profession, but also the organization as well. For many years, our CHWs have been trained on disease-specific trainings. Like if they work in diabetes, they got trainings on diabetes. Say they work on outreach, they were taught how to do the outreach, how to knock on doors, how to talk to people. And now that we are moving towards strengthening the profession, we want to make sure that all CHWs in Arizona know exactly what their profession is. How do they represent their profession? Who are they as a unique workforce? What is the skills that they make them so unique and effective when teaching and working with direct clients or with groups in their communities? So core competencies are so important that they're going to define our workforce, but also will allow the organizations and health systems to have a really well-trained workforce that will provide the best care for their clients and their patients. So one of our collaborators, Vani Besata, she is from PIMA, and she is looking at the training program approval as a place to start. She is beginning to organize a group for CHWs that she wants to develop, but she wants us also looking at what is the best training that I can get for them. What is the best training that will ensure me that my group will be professional, will be equipped to begin working in our communities once they complete their training. So this is one of her quotes, as you can read it. So what are the benefits of CHW training program approval? We call it the gold standard for CHW training. What does it mean? It means that it's recognized, it's a recognized training, that is a training that everybody is going to be looking for. There's a training that everybody is going to be identified as the go-to place where they're going to be able to provide that capacity and the skills and core competencies that their CHWs, their workforce is needing to be able to provide the best work and services in communities. And it will ensure the CHW workforce is confident and they understand their unique professional skills. That's a really important thing that we need to understand as well. As we're building the CHW profession in our state, that we're developing the workforce as that a recognized profession, we need to also make sure that all CHWs are in the same understanding as everybody that is working with this goal. And of course, it provides that and elevates that opportunity for CHWs increase employability and job performance when wherever they're working, or if they're going to be working with somebody when they apply. And of course, when CHWs work at the fullest potential in an organization, the other professionals in that organization can also work and concentrate in their own scope of practice and also work at their fullest potential. So this is a win-win for everybody. And they prepare training programs, future opportunities for workforce sustainability. Of course, we also are always looking, what are the best opportunities? How can we continue strengthening? How can we provide more opportunities for the workforce? And there's always a lot of literature that we recommend you to read. So please go ahead and try to click on that link and the assessment and integration of financing CHWs. That's an important article that we should all be knowledgeable about. So what do you need before applying? First of all organizations that have had CHWs for many years, so promotoras or community health representatives, they have their unique training that they have developed within their organizations, and they've been providing that training for their staff once they're hired. So all you need is to gather that information, that comprehensive and training, and organize it in a way that and the way that is delivered actually by your staff or whoever trains in your organizations. So you need to make sure that all the information is there, that it also is based on the core competencies. And we provided here an example that you can actually also look in the website. If you click and just training curriculum for community health workers, you will be able to see it in this example of what it really means to have a comprehensive and organized training program within an organization.
Okay, thank you, Flor. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the process for community health worker training program approval and what you need to do as an organization to prepare and go through this process. So first, who is eligible for community health worker training program approval through AzCHOW? We designed the training program approval process so that any organization that trains CHWs, whether you're a clinic, a community-based organization, a health plan, a county health department, anyone who trains and employs community health workers can apply. And the approval process is designed to take the unique nature of different programs into account. So there's no one way to train a community health worker. As long as you're focused on the core competencies, you can go through this process. And here's a quote from Mark Gallegos from the Maricopa County Department of Public Health. And he decided to put his community health worker training program through the process. And this is a little bit about his thought process for why he did that. He wanted to make sure his community health workers were trained and prepared for voluntary certification, which will be coming up in the next year or so. So how do you get started? First, you can go to our website, azchow.org/training program approval, and you'll see guidelines and informational material in the website. You'll request the application from me, from kmtucker@email.arizona.edu, and that will give you all the information you need to get started. Once you pay the $500 training program approval application fee, you'll be able to complete your application and supplemental materials and submit them online in an online form. And it does take a few months to get those application materials prepared. That's been the experience of people who have gone through the program so far, so that's something you should also take into account. After your application is submitted to AzCHOW, this is the process that each application will go through. Once we receive all of this application materials, a committee will be formed of three people. One is the CHW representative from AzCHOW. One is a workforce coalition member, and that will be someone who was a supervisor, maybe a researcher, maybe a manager of community health workers, but it is someone who has significant experience with the community health worker workforce in Arizona. And the third person is a representative from the Arizona Department of Health Services. And so these three people together represent the review committee who will be looking at your application and making sure that it meets the requirements. So the committee will first review the application and come to a consensus about the application form. If for some reason they need more information, they can request it and provide technical support to make sure they get it and then review the information again. If for some reason they think that the program is not ready, is not prepared for training program approval, they may deny the application, in which case they would provide recommendations and technical support, and the organization would have 1 year to reapply without repaying the fee. And then the third option would be that they are approved for the site visit. So if the program is approved for a site visit, the review committee members will go to the site and they will meet with different people associated with the training program. So they'll meet with current and former students, trainers, individuals who help with community experience or internships, the coordinators and managers, everyone who's involved with that training program. Once the site visit is conducted, they will write a report and give recommendations to the committee, and then the review committee will reach a consensus. So at that point, either the training program will be approved, in which case the program will have 5 years for training program approval until they have to reapply. Or if the approval is denied for some reason, again, they will get recommendations and technical support, and the program will have up to 1 year to resubmit their application without paying that fee again. And these are the application components that are required in that application. So the program will have to submit the description and background, the syllabus and schedule for the training schedule, the session descriptions, which include objectives and description of what happens in each session, the learning evaluation method, so how are community health workers evaluated on their learning and their progress, the experience of the trainer or instructor, which is usually a CV or resume, the program director or coordinator experience, again, a CV or resume. And then one of the most important parts of the application is the core competency checklist. And this is something you can see on our guidelines online. The core competency checklist basically takes each core competency, those 10 core competencies that Flor talked about earlier, and breaks them up into specific skills related to the competency. And as part of this application process, you need to map those core competency and skills to specific activities and sessions in your training schedule. So you need to show that each of those core competencies is covered in the training schedule. Some notable features of the training review process. As you may have noticed in that flow chart, there is ample opportunity for technical assistance. So this is meant to be a conversation and a process of mutual learning. So during the entire process, whether you are approved or denied, there is an opportunity for technical assistance to help you improve your training program and prepare it for approval. It's reviewed by a team that represents significant knowledge and involvement with community health worker workforce. So everyone who's part of that review committee has a lot of experience and knowledge that can help you not only in technical assistance, but also has that experience that will help them to approve the training program and make sure that it is really based on those core competencies. The site visit is really an opportunity for dialogue. It's meant to be kind of a conversation. The purpose is really to kind of discuss the program and discuss ideas and make sure that the training program is up to the standards. And again, the approval is valid for 5 years. So once you get that stamp of approval, the training program is valid for 5 years, at which point you'd have to reapply for training program approval. And we wanted to make a note about training program approval and voluntary certification because there is a lot of misconception about these two processes. So training program approval is a different process from voluntary certification. Training program approval is for training programs and organizations that employ community health workers, and voluntary certification is for individual community health workers to have that certification. Voluntary certification is through the state, the Arizona Department of Health Services, and it's legislation that was passed in 2018, and it's still in the rulemaking stage, which means that we don't know everything about what voluntary certification will look like. We are moving forward with it, and we will know more about it in the beginning of 2020, but that is something we still don't have all the details about. However, we do know that training program approval, because it's based in the core competencies and because it's kind of built around the scope of practice of community health workers, that it will help to prepare your program and the students who go through your program for future voluntary certification. Okay, so here are some frequently asked questions that we have gotten in some of these informational sessions. One is, I have a short skills-based training session. Is it eligible for program approval? We want to emphasize here that the training program approval process is meant for comprehensive community health worker training programs. So these are programs that are meant to prepare a community health worker holistically, not just for a particular job or for a particular disease or issue. However, we have talked about having an option for continuing education units. So that's part of that voluntary certification process. And that is something that we will have more information about in the future, so stay tuned. The second question we've gotten is, my training program is designed to prepare CHWs in my organization for a specific job, for example, diabetes education. Is it eligible for program approval? Here we want to emphasize that a training program may be preparing community health workers to work on a specific project or a specific focus. So it makes sense that you would be preparing your community health workers for their job. However, in order to be approved as a community health worker training program, it must be comprehensive enough to ensure that community health workers understand their unique skills and competencies and how they relate to a variety of different jobs. So even if you're talking about the core competencies in relationship to a specific project or program like diabetes education, you still have to make sure that the community health workers who go through that program understand their core competencies and have the chance to practice them and understand their professional identity. The third question we've gotten, what is an example of the technical assistance that you provide in the process? And the most common technical assistance that we provide is assistance in crafting sessions that explicitly cover the core competencies. And so what we've noticed in the training programs that we have reviewed, they are often, again, based on a specific job or specific job responsibilities of a community health worker. And so we've helped the training programs to think about how to really incorporate the core competencies into those sessions and ensure that they're covered very explicitly in the training program. Okay, and I'd like to make another little note about technical assistance. You have a quote from Jill Guernsey-Desapian, who is one of the co-founding members of the Arizona Community Health Worker Workforce Coalition and has been a member of a review committee. And she kind of emphasized how this technical assistance can be a framework that allows a training program approval to really improve their program and ensure that they are meeting the needs of community health workers and future employers. And so technical assistance is available before, during, and after training program approval. So if you aren't sure whether your program is ready, you can email me and schedule a 1-hour informational meeting. And during that meeting, we can look at some of your materials, we can discuss what we're looking for and ensure that your training program understands what is needed in order to go through this process. And during that meeting, we can help you understand how to prepare a strong application. And then during the training program approval, there is technical assistance kind of built into the feedback process that we have with the training program. And in addition, if you have any questions, if we make a recommendation for your training program, we can also help you to get the resources and information you need to implement those recommendations. So your next steps, if you're ready to apply for training program approval. You can download and read the guidelines at our website. You can contact me at that email to ask for the application and ask any other questions you may have, and then get started. Again, there'll be an online form where you can submit your applications. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. So that concludes our training program approval informational webinar. Flora, do you have any other comments to make? I think not. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will hopefully see your application soon.